Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I'm Dee Dee Allen, and I have the privilege of serving as your worship associate this morning. We are delighted to welcome Reverend Liz Walker to our pulpit this morning. Reverend Walker has served as a pastor in Roxbury, as a humanitarian focusing on women's education in South Sudan, as a television journalist, the first Black weeknight news anchor in Boston. She is the founding director of Can We Talk Network, a spiritually inspired, community-based, clinically supported, safe space for sharing our pain. In addition to preaching this morning, Reverend Walker will be hosting a community-wide book reading here in the sanctuary after coffee hour at noon. We hope everybody will be able to stay. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We are glad you are here. If you're new and you'd like to connect, please fill out one of the blue cards in your pew and put it into the collection plate. We come together at FRS in person and online, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, transform our world. If you are worshiping online and would like to access this morning's order of service, please click on the link just below the live stream. And if you'd like a large print order of service or a hymnal, please ask an usher. They will be happy to help you. Please take a moment to review your order of service for all of the activities happening this week. In particular, I highlight the holiday tea happening Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the parish hall. We will also be writing postcards to the governor during coffee hour. We join congregations across the state in calling on our governor to use her executive powers to protect our civil liberties for those who reside in Massachusetts. Every Sunday, it is a blessing that we can gather. So let us give ourselves to it. Welcome once again. It's good to be together.
It is indeed good to be together. I'd like to invite all of us to just turn and greet your neighbor, to say good morning, hello, I see you. Our call to worship this morning, in addition to a warm welcome and greeting to all, our call to worship this morning is entitled I Breathe by Craig Rowlands, adapted to We. We breathe. We breathe in the warmth of this light, its glow filling the spaces where fear and doubt reside. We breathe out the tension we carry. We release what no longer serves us. We breathe. We breathe in the strength of our community, a sanctuary of diverse voices and shared purpose. We breathe out the urge to go it alone. We embrace the power of togetherness. We breathe in the courage to speak truth, even when it trembles on our lips. We breathe out the silence that holds us back. We make space for honesty and justice. We breathe in the hope of transformation, knowing we are here to build and to heal. We breathe out despair, trusting that change is born in small acts of love. So as we come together, may we breathe out all that separates us and breathe in the truth that we are one. Please rise in body or in spirit, and let's join in our opening hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. You may be seated.
Please join with me in saying the words of our chalice lighting, which are printed in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth that need peace. We know that there are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we will hold in our hearts and our minds through this service and through the week ahead. I will list a location. We will sit together in silence and then say peace together in 3 languages: peace, salam, shalom. This morning, we light our first candle of peace for the place right here, right now, in this country, where another life has been lost to gun violence. In this moment, right here, right now, where someone's heart and hearts are broken. To this we respond, peace, salam, shalom. And we light another candle this morning for another place and space, a hospital, a home, a place where right in this moment a child is born. Right in this moment, new life has begun. And to this we respond, peace, salam, shalom. This is our second week of Advent, and as we're doing this year, we're turning it a little in a you way. So though it comes from our Christian roots and heritage, we are honoring the meaning of each week and opening it to be expansive to all that we believe and all that we question. This week, we light our second candle for peace. Peace. Peace is within ourselves, and so let us breathe into that knowing. Peace. Please rise in body or in spirit, and let's join our voices in our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated. And let us continue in song with number 413 as we're seated and open-hearted, singing our children to young church. Go now in peace.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. Our community partner this month is the Roxbury Presbyterian Church Social Impact Center. The work of the center is the focus of our Justice Sunday, and we look forward to learning more of it today from Reverend Liz after service. To give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to the church, and thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
This is a time in our service where we pause to lift up the joys and the sorrows, the hopes and the dreams of our beloved faith community. This morning, Jean Lanham will be lighting candles, our pastoral care associate, as I share what has been sent to me in advance and also what was written in the journal. You can always write anything you would like shared each Sunday as you enter in the vestibule. There is a journal. Let us gather.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
This morning we light a candle of celebration and honor for Diane Eliane Klein, who was honored on November 14th by Age Span with an award entitled Inspiring Lifelong Learning. She was celebrated with 4 other honorees at a lovely luncheon at the Blue Ocean Center. There'll be more information in between us on Monday. We do indeed celebrate our love of learning and sharing and the gifts that each and every one of you brings to this world. We have an unusual situation, which is there have been no other joys or sorrows sent, no other joys and sorrows written. And all I can imagine is what is held in your hearts. So may we light now a candle for the joy that maybe you're afraid to celebrate or see or trust or share at a time when the world is so heavy. And we light a candle for the hearts that are sad, that are missing people, that are wishing things were different, that are simply feeling blue. We are with you. We light a candle for all those who are ill, a candle for all those who are hungry, both in body and in spirit. And we light one final candle, as we do each time we gather, for that special prayer on your mind and your heart. Let's join our voices.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Let's join together now in a spirit of prayer, meditation, contemplation. This morning, in considering a truth that perhaps is unspoken or not said clearly enough, this one is for you. You who need permission, which is all of us. As we are here gathered in body gathered in spirit, gathered in the air we literally share. You who need permission to let it go. Let it go. May it be so. You who need permission to say what you feel, to ask for what you need, truly need. May it be so. You who needs to let the guard down, who needs to allow yourself to say, I hurt, I feel glee and delight, I have passions unknown. May it be so. You who needs forgiveness, may it be so. You who needs to ask for a gift that you barely let yourself realize, may it, or something even better, be so. May our hearts be at peace. May our bodies be still. May our minds be open and our hands filled with compassion in all that we do. May it be so.
Our reading this morning is from Reverend Liz's book, No One Left Alone. You may have heard that we breathe the same air as our ancestors. Science confirms that the tiny molecules in oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen are constantly being rearranged and recycled over time. I love this possibility. In breathing together, we connect ourselves to God, to each other, to the ancients, and to everything that has breath on the planet. Knowing this affirms my belief that we are not only healing together, but we are also living out our part of one single story.
Good morning. Good morning. I am so honored to be with you this morning. But I have to tell you, and I want to say to your pastor and to your worship leader, thank you so much for gently leading me to this point up here. Because the truth is, I was thrown when they told me I had to be on high. That's what Ann Hosser said to me this morning. And I thought, oh God, that's just one more thing I gotta try to figure out how to do. Because in truth, at my age, I'm realizing and learning, and some of you may know what I'm talking about, the work of being old. Being old takes work. It takes work to stay awake. It takes work to focus. God knows it takes work to get upstairs like these. But in the midst of the kindness and hospitality that your leadership afforded me in coming here, I realized that this was not work. This was really God's lifting me to be on high, to represent all that I believe is good in the world. So it is an honor here to be on high. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the work we do in this sermon. We can call this more of a meditation than a sermon. I have been a storyteller most of my life. For 30 years, I was a television news reporter, and that just amazes me. That seems, does anybody remember that? Oh, God bless y'all. Because that was a long time ago. You know, I laugh, and I don't just say that because I want the applause, though the applause is nice. That's not why I'm saying it, because we're such a different time now. When I speak to young people and tell them about the day when, you know, there were only 3 television stations, you actually had to get up and go change the channel. That seems like an ancient history now. But I was a storyteller then. I spent 10 years after leaving television news to help build a girls' school in South Sudan. I initially went to Sudan to tell the story of others doing that work. But while I was there, I was so deeply moved and horrified by what I saw that I wanted to do something. And my pastors, who were a part of that journey, told me I was being called into ministry. So storytelling took a turn from me there. Coming back, ending up at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, where not just being the pastor, but founding this program, Can We Talk, I have now become another kind of storytelling, helping people who don't know that their stories have value or don't understand the value of their stories, tell them. But this work was never really my plan. Young people say, well, how did you find your purpose? I never had a strategic plan. It was a matter of responding to the needs of the moment, which is what I believe that God calls us to do. Writer Frederick Buechner writes that a calling, and that's what I believe I've been a part of, a calling is that point in your life when your joy meets the world's needs. When you do something that you like to do, and it helps somebody else. So that's always been the key to my purpose, telling stories. I'd like to share with you one of my favorite Bible stories from the Gospel of John, the 20th chapter, the 19th through the 23rd verses. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, when the doors were locked for fear of the leaders, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side, and the disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again, Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." And with that, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgive them." But the point that really got my attention, and the point I want you to focus on, is this notion of Jesus breathing on them. The text I chose today is not necessarily in the flow of the Christian season. It is usually read closer to the resurrection, not the birth. But in fact, I believe it is always appropriate. As a Christian, I always say I am a resurrection person. Now, there are a number of ways to define what a resurrection person is, what resurrection people are, but I essentially believe there is more to life than what we can see with the naked eye. Forgiveness is absolutely necessary in life. And we believe in miracles, that nothing is impossible. And love will win in the end. And if there's no love, we're not at the end. As a Christian, I have to remind myself of my beliefs. And I would argue with anyone here that we are living in times when you need to know what you believe, what you stand on, what's the foundation underneath you. Because it is easy to forget, it is easy to get caught up in the madness, and it is easy to become confused in just who we are. This country is in the midst of an identity crisis. Don't get nervous. This is not going to be a political sermon. But you can't avoid the reality that we're going through. From every angle, democracy is in question. What it means to be an American is in question. Most of our lifetimes, I thought being an American meant sharing a standard belief that we're kind of all in this together and have a moral responsibility to each other, and that we're all kind of in our own way working for the greater good. That now is in question. Today it would seem that some people say, nope, it is us against them. Fill in the blank who them can be. But as opposed to being for the greater good, we are lodged against each other. Country against country, church against church, neighbor against neighbor. And that leaves a lot of us feeling like those disciples must have felt in that room on that day, a few days after the crucifixion. They were afraid. They were weary. The man for whom they had left everything to follow was now dead. Everything they thought was certain, every dream they had was now being attacked. They had no idea what their future held. And every hour sitting in that room, it seemed like the world was getting crazier and crazier. So folks stopped watching CNN. We didn't want to know what was happening. We locked the doors, we pulled down the shades, we are gripped in the fear of the moment. I would argue this is a scene of traumatized people. Some have no doubt witnessed whatever went on at that cross. Some have heard the story. But even if you weren't there, you've heard enough to be frightened. It is a story for our times. Mass shootings, terrorist attacks, natural disasters, still reeling from a pandemic that nobody really mourned. I would argue this nation is in the throes not so much of a political upheaval as the throes of political trauma. People stuck in fear. Now, fear is not always a bad thing. It's healthy when it keeps you safe, but that's not the fear I'm talking about. I read a column a few weeks ago. David Brooks was quoting a sociologist, Zygmunt Bauman, and he describes this fear that he sees in this nation now as diffuse, scattered, unanchored, free-floating, just in the atmosphere. And when that happens, Brooks writes, when people cannot locate the source of their fear, you never know who and how they will lash out. You never know who they will blame. You just know that a scapegoat will be found. Sound familiar? Yeah. Fear can be dangerous. And that's what this little group of believers were going through in that little room when Jesus walks in. Verse 19, he walks in through locked doors, stands among them and says, "Peace be with you." He shows them his hands and his side. Suffering. I know suffering. I was the one up on that cross. And then he says again, "Peace be with you." And with that, he breathed on them and said, "Receive this Spirit of God, this Spirit of life, this Holy Spirit, this altogether take on anything, change the world Spirit." This is a powerful scene of supernatural significance that we need to give more attention to. Because in this frightening and anxious moment, when all seems lost, the disciples are visited by something that is more powerful than what they see. Now keep in mind, in the context of the story, that this is the same Spirit that in the book of Acts blows as a violent wind, loud, with tongues of fire that moves hundreds, if not thousands of people. And suddenly people are hearing all kinds of languages. It's a Spirit that changed the world in that moment of Pentecost. But in this moment, that same Spirit comes in a softer and gentler way, a way of kind of a hospitality that you've never felt before, the presence and power and love of something more than you could ask or imagine. This is the Spirit that changes hearts and minds, and in this broken and shaky band of humanity, transforms a group of really frightened people into something unbelievable, something extraordinary. Jesus breathes his Spirit of life and everything changes. And using the most mundane act of the body, because we take breathing for granted until you get old. Then you don't take nothing for granted. But most of life, you just think it's something you do. This mysterious healing mechanism that is our lung, the organ that holds our physical life, gives us spiritual power, our access to God, is as close as our breath. Go figure. Breathe. In spending the last several years in writing my book, No One Left Alone, I wanted to know not just the effects of collective trauma, the trauma that affects us as a group, as a family, as a nation, but what causes it. And collective trauma is when our extreme individual pain, stress, fear spills over, and as if we were all locked in one room. Those are the times that we are living in. And whether we realize it or not, all of this trauma, wherever it is, because we're in a 24/7 communications bubble, all of this trauma affects us one way or the other, impacting our minds, our spirits, our bodies. We may not know it, but we're impacted by it. And it all starts in our breath. It's hard to breathe completely when you are stressed. Since the death of George Floyd, and so many deaths during the pandemic, we have learned that breathing should never be taken for granted. For people who experience or witness trauma, breathing can be a serious health issue. I was reading a story in the New York Times not long after the George Floyd incident. the Times reporter investigated all the incidents of police putting their knees on suspects who were arrested, black suspects. And they found some incredible, and this was in New York City. I'm going to say 20, but I don't remember. I didn't write it in here. There were more than a dozen cases where these men almost died because the police didn't take them seriously when they said, "I can't breathe." But if you know the history of black people, and it goes all the way back to slavery, you can see that our breath has always been the place where we've been attacked. From being on slave ships, from wearing chains around our necks, physically, not even to mention spiritually. We don't know how to breathe. We are holding our breath. We're breathing in shallow bites. We have asthma. We are growing up in communities that have toxic air. Our breath is under attack. We have to do something about that. We have to learn how to breathe. In 2014 at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, we started the Can We Talk program because we wanted to give our neighbors just a way to process all the trauma that they had experienced. It started with gun violence. That's how we met Ann Hasser. We wanted to do something other than the marches, in addition to meeting with the police, in addition to the gun violence prevention programs, all the things that a social justice church or institution should do. We felt the need that something else was missing. And what we came up with after talking with mental health experts and trauma specialists and people in our community, that nobody knew how to grieve all the loss. There was a funeral, there was a healing service, and then the world moves on. But I am stuck in this moment when my life changed forever. Not just violence, but any kind of bad situation. We live in a culture that just says, move on. Got to get over it. And so we don't know how to tend to our pain. So we invited people in our community, just in our community. We had in 2010, 75 homicides in Boston, which was an unheard of number. One of them, a young man, Corey Johnson, was a member of our church. No reason for Corey to be dead. He wasn't a gangster. He didn't use a gun. He wasn't on the streets. Went out to a party with his brother and never came home. And in the middle of the night, his mother had heard that phone call that no parent wants to get, that Corey was in the hospital. So how could we help Corey's parents, Corey's brothers and sisters, Corey's friends and family? Because when one person is shot, science tells us there are at least 20 people who are deeply and seriously affected. Not to mention the rest of the community. In 2013, when the bombers came and blew up parts of the Boston Marathon, anybody who was watching on TV was impacted, and certainly those who were down on that street in the Back Bay. So what do we do after the tribute, after the reflections, when those families are still hurting? Well, we decided to open a space in our basement. And this took a lot of study and a lot of work and a lot of talking to other people and giving people a safe space to come and grieve. Because where do you go when you need to grieve? The world moves on and you're left alone. And what happens in so many cases, hurt people hurt other people. Many of those people who came to the church basement told us they felt isolated, disconnected, and unsafe. So Can We Talk offers reconnection, a sense of safety, and in the process of sharing, maybe people can find restored meaning to their lives. And this is all done simply through coming together in community. And sometimes when our neighbors join us on Thursday evenings, because we used to do it once a month, and I'll tell you more about that later on, but now we do it at Roxbury Presbyterian Church every week. And sometimes when our neighbors join us, they might say, you know what, I can't talk today. I had a really bad day, I'm overwhelmed. And we say that's okay. Just sit down and catch your breath. That's something we can tell each other. Take a moment. Catch your breath. Slow down. We're flooded right now with bad news. That was the intent, flooding the zone. We are every day, you don't know what, from every direction. Catch your breath. Pause. Be present. Pay attention to this moment. Pay attention to who's with you. Catching our breath is critical in physical terms. Not about overthinking it, but taking a moment to reflect on the importance of breathing. So right now, where you're sitting, sit up straight, because this is really helping me. The more I do it every day, let's just take in a slow breath. I'm going to count to 8 and see. Now that might be hard, but just take it in slow. Inhale. And exhale. Let's do it again. Inhale. And exhale. In just those 2 moments, and it takes work, but in just those 2 moments, you can learn to slow down, to slow your heart rate. You can learn to breathe deeper, paying attention to what you're doing. That helps you relax and feel calmer. Now, I'm of a tradition that there was a time when if you talked about breathing exercises, they would say you were worshiping the Antichrist. Oh my God, you can't do that. That's yoga. That's not Christian. But baby, everybody's got to breathe. Come on. So we had to change our way of thinking, even at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, to allow a breathing exercise. But if you go into the text, you can see that's what God calls us to do. Breathing is an intentional part of our routine at Can We Talk? And the more we focus on that, the more I see the commonality between the spiritual and the physical of breathing. Catching your spiritual breath is just an extension of catching your physical breath, being aware of what gives you purpose every day. For me, that is Jesus Christ. You may have your other way. I am not here to proselytize, but I'm telling you there's something more. And breathing in, allowing us to pray more and meditate more and immerse ourselves in practices that help us be more clear on just who we are, turning off TV, turning off social media. The world is never going to bring us the peace that it promises. That's just not going to happen. And that's one of the beautiful parts of growing old. You live long enough to know all this stuff everybody's, bitcoins, all this stuff everybody's running after. Come on now, if you really think about it, you know. And doing these practices serves us in so many more ways. Action without contemplation is reckless. You can't just run out here and have a gun reform rally without some contemplative thought. And contemplation without activism is incomplete. The civil rights movement was based on contemplative practices. We've forgotten that, but it started in the church. It started in the idea that we are all in the image of God. That's not just a fad. That's where we are right now. And so our program coalesces the spiritual and the clinical. Our gatherings are peer-led. We respect the dignity of every person who walks in. Anyone and everyone is welcome. And we work really hard at meeting our neighbors where they are. It comes from a shared theology we call abiding. And abiding can be an individual act, and that's how we usually take it, me and God. But we are saying that the healing power of God can move through all of us as we sit with our wounds and the wounds of our neighbors and share our stories. And it takes courage to do that. Who's going to get up in front of a stranger and talk about the worst day of your life? But there is power in that. There is something beautiful in that. It is like the man who walked in that room and showed his hands and showed the wounds. We need to be more attentive to each other, whether it's through a community church or a community program. We need to look each other in the eye, now more than ever before. We need to be able to see the wounds underneath the rage. Because there's a lot of rage out here. But I promise you, at the base of it, there is a wound. Listening is the essence of catching our spiritual breath. In researching my book, I found a book by Adam McHugh, The Listening Life. And McHugh explains listening as the essential path to spiritual and emotional healings. And he points at Christians particularly, and he says, you know what? You Christians preach too much, and you don't listen enough. And that's being acted out in the world right now. Jesus continues to breathe his Holy Spirit in ways that are bigger than we can imagine. That supernatural power of compassion, empathy, patience, seeking good for the other, love. This is a church of love. This is a church of supernatural means and tools. We have to cultivate that abiding spirit. It can't just be something we do on Sunday mornings. And sometimes we get so busy doing church. I know that's not the case here. But in some churches, we get so busy doing church that we forget about what it means to be church, what it means to have these doors that people can open and come in with their wounds. I had a friend who called me not too long ago, and she and her friend were in a Walgreens drugstore, and it was empty, and they were waiting at the counter to check out. And she noticed, because she was listening with her eyes and with her heart, that the woman behind the counter just was really in a bad way. And so she didn't want to overwhelm the woman, but she wanted the woman to know at that moment that she could be there for her. And I don't know how she started it. It must have been just in a hello, good morning thing. Conversation ensued. And this was Naomi who told me that in just opening up a little bit, this woman was so ready to tell her story and her bad situation that she did. I think everybody's willing, but we're scared that nobody's going to listen to us. In the airport, I do a lot of airport these days, and I've decided I'm going to try to be more open, and that is a real hard thing for me to do because I think everybody traveling is crazy. But what I try to do is open up my heart just a little bit more to the person sitting next to me in the plane. Because, you know, you sit on the plane these days and you just kind of lock in. Because you don't know if that person's going to go crazy. You just don't, and they don't know if you're going to go crazy. But I find that when I open my heart and say a prayer, I can usually at least mutter, good morning. I can usually at least give a signal that it's all right. This healing gathering that we do at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, and now at 20 other sites around the country, is not about our ingenuity. It is not about our warmth and ability to reach out. Ultimately, our trust is in God. We seek wholeness not knowing how it's going to work out. But we know that even when we are weak, even when we don't know if we can make it up the stairs, even when we are having our worst day, if we open up, God is strong, and there is something that can happen between two human beings. So our connection is what I call a laboratory of love. We get to practice love, and we can practice it in any way, any day. I was in the airport the other day. This lady was in the restroom right outside, coming off the plane and going to your other, wherever you were going. And I had to go to the restroom, and a worker, an airport worker in the Atlanta airport, this lady was literally holding one of the toilet doors shut because one had broken. There were only 4 doors. You know, the restroom closest to the gate where you get off the plane is packed, because you get off the plane and you rush to the restroom. She's holding this door up. And I walked in, I thought, what is wrong with that woman? Then I realized she was doing that on her own. She didn't have to do that. That was her job, but she had taken it to another level. And I thought, what can I do to encourage this woman? Because that's a thankless job. Nobody looks at the attendant in the restroom, I tell you. Nobody cares. I didn't have any money in my pocket. I went through all my bags. I found a $5 bill at the bottom of my purse, and I just handed it to her, not trying to make a big deal out of it, but I wanted her to know that I saw her, that she had value, and that her job might have been the worst job in the world to anybody else, holding the toilet door, but I appreciated it. And I can't tell you how beautiful her smile was. And I can't tell you how good it made me feel. And I said I wasn't going to tell anybody, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying it was just a little moment in an airport where I tried to reach out to somebody else. I travel all the time. I don't care how people fake it. I don't care what mask you see. We are living in a country that is hurting. I don't even care what your political leaning is. People are afraid because we don't know what's going to happen. So all we are suggesting is that if you reach out in just a little way, something mysterious will take root. There's always a risk. There is a risk that somebody will reject you, make fun of you, curse you out. There is always a risk. But it is a reward of transformation. It is breathing together. It is giving the other person the benefit of the doubt, which is what I call grace. The Latin word for breathing together is conspire. We live in a world of conspiracies, but we always think of conspiracies as negative. But in this context, we conspire with a living God. So remember, breathe together, and God will breathe in you and through you and for you. God bless you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Reverend Liz, and for making the journey up these stairs. We do hope that everyone can remain, and we'll probably have others from the community joining us at noon. There's coffee next door in between, where we get to hear more, ask questions, and learn some of the inside stories of what Reverend Liz began to share this morning. So let's rise in body or in spirit and join together in our closing hymn. It is number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just as Long as I Have Breath. remain standing and let's join together in our unison benediction as Hugh extinguishes the chalice. The words can be found in your order of service. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. My friends, as we begin to prepare to depart from here, perhaps for a few minutes, for a little sustenance, only to return, perhaps for a week, may we go knowing that truth always remains. May we go knowing that we are one in our experience of love and of life and of breath, and that in remembering the truth of our genuine interconnectedness, we cannot do any less than act with love, act with courage, act knowing we are one. My friends, as always, may we go from this place in peace and love, and may return again with great joy. Amen and blessed be.